While we are quarantined, do we forget about our finances? What can we do? Is there something better than a stimulus package? Stay with us.
Bridging generation gaps, racial gaps, socioeconomic gaps. Bridging, a national television talk show designed to bridge gaps. Let's start a conversation about critical issues confronting today's society.
Welcome to Bridging. I'm Dr. Mel, where we talk and have discussions with real people, discussing real issues and coming up with some plausible, real solutions. Today with me, I have Michael Mosby. Michael Mosby is a former certified public accountant. He has a background in business administration and accounting. So I wanted him to come here today so we could talk about finances. And I know it might sound crazy, but we're talking about finances during the COVID situation. Well, absolutely yes. Because these are trying times. These are some uncharted waters that we're in, and we need to know what we can do about our finances even while we are in the house. So, Mr. Mosby, thank you for being here today. I appreciate your presence, and I'm looking forward to learning.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to learning something new and something useful. Okay, so we're all quarantined across the world, not just across the nation, across the world. Our finances have been hit. Some of us have finding ourselves in situations where we never thought we would be. The experts like you have always told us to have at least 3 to 6 months of major bills set aside. Well, most of us didn't.
That's
live.
correct.
And now we are here for that time, that rainy day that we've always talked about. Save for a rainy day. Well, what if we didn't save? Where can we find some hope first?
Yes. Well, the first thing, we got people all around the world who are in different states. We got some that are financially stable, some that is in what I call a financial crunch, and there's others who's in a financial crisis.
Right.
So those who are in the who are financially stable, they're the ones who planned before. They may have that emergency fund set aside. They may still be working and have income coming in. So they may be sitting in a pretty good place, even though this virus has shut down businesses, shut down our lives as we have previously known it. Being in that financial crunch area, that pretty much says some unforeseen event has happened. Well, it has happened.
It happened.
And because it has happened, people now finding themselves that if they were ill prepared, that there's some issues that now they have to face. But I want to encourage everyone is not to be getting into a place of fear. There is hope, and there's lots of companies and the government is trying to help. So I'm going to share what some of those things are.
Thank you.
And then you have those who are in a financial. Then you have those who are in a financial crisis. Chances are they were struggling even prior to this time happenings, but now it has just really been exasperated a lot more. So for those who are, but the same principles work for everyone. So what's available to you? The government has quite a few stimulus packages that's available to individuals as well as small businesses. So during this time, you might have lost your job. So if that's the case, I encourage you to file for unemployment as soon as possible. You may have done it already, but if not, file for it as soon as possible. Now you can expect long lines and long waits on the telephone because we have the whole world is being impacted here. But be persistent. Don't give up. Don't get frustrated. Just keep trying until you're able to get through. But what's happening is the government has says we're going to extend the amount of time that you can collect the unemployment benefits. In addition to that, you're going to get $600 more per week.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this for some viewers, because there's many people who have never collected unemployment, who never thought they'd have to collect unemployment. So when you say they extended it, what does that extension mean? What was unemployment before and what is it now? The time frame, if you have that.
Okay. I don't have that particular information in front of me, but it has extended for quite a period of time. More.
So
I think it's like 3 months or something like that. I'm not sure though.
Okay, but they can look that up. They can like Google it and find out unemployment in their particular state, because each state is a little different. The amount that they give might be a little different. So definitely, viewers, go to your state and find out what that time frame is and how much that actually is. But thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yes.
So I have a question. How did you get started teaching people about finances?
Well, it started with my one desire to help people, but also from my own experiences.
Okay.
And so even though I was a certified public accountant, I was struggling financially. Now, when I was in college, they don't teach you things about personal finance. You learn about business finances, but not personal.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew a lot of people who were CPAs in the industry with me. We were all struggling.
Okay.
But then I noticed that as I began to learn something, actually, I learned this when I was studying for the CPA exam. We had a study group, and there was topics I didn't understand. But as I started teaching the people in the group my area that I was responsible for teaching them, it's like, oh, I got it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, and then as I gotten older, I realized that I just couldn't get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
It was part of my destiny. The skills and the talents and the experiences that I've endured over the years. It's like I have to give back. I have to share what I know. And so that's how I got started.
Okay. I'm grateful for that. And you hit on something. You said that, in college, you were majoring in accounting, but you learned about business finances, but never personal finances. I am just amazed, because I thought, I went into education, so of course I wouldn't learn about personal finances, but an accounting major, not learn about finances, personal finances, that just amazes me to hear you say that. But our educational system, and I know we're not going to get into that today, but I think we've dropped the ball on personal finances across the board, because so many people they know how to make money, but they don't know how to manage money. And even households, husbands and wives, the number one reason people get divorced, one of the number one reasons, there's top three, the number one is finances. They can't get their finances together. Your finances are, I've learned that when they are not stable, that causes a lot of conflict and a lot of crisis in many homes. So let me ask you another question. Who are the people? Go ahead.
Well, the point I was going to make was, it's really by design that it's not taught in schools. So that everyone would be a very good employee, rather than a very good business owner. And so there's a whole other dynamic of why it's not taught, but it is really not taught at all.
It isn't, and it's disheartening that we are in a situation we're in now, and there are so many people even before now, like you said, we're already in a crisis due to finances. We're going to try to help get them out. So you do have some principles. You have some principles on finances that you've known proven to work. I want to talk about those principles, those 9 spiritual laws that govern finances. So if you didn't get it before, I'm talking to the viewers, if you didn't get it before, you're going to get it now. You are still living, you are still breathing. You can acquire this information. And the Bible tells us that we're dying for a lack of knowledge. We're here to give you the knowledge today. The 9 principles, or the 9 spiritual laws that govern finances. Can we talk about each one of those spiritual laws that govern finances?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, let's talk about what are spiritual laws.
Okay.
Spiritual laws are laws that God has ordained. He has placed them in the earth, and he spoke them into the earth when he created the earth. So it's laws that we cannot change. It's laws that works 100% of the time, every day, 365 days a year. These are laws, it doesn't matter who you are, what your race is, or you're male or you're female, it doesn't matter. They're going to work.
Right.
So just as an example, I have a pen here. If I drop this pen, it falls for a reason, right?
Right.
What's that reason?
It's the law of gravity.
The law of gravity. What goes up comes
Has
down.
to come down, yes.
If I weighed 300 pounds, would it matter that if I fall off a building, I won't be a splat? It doesn't matter.
It works.
Can I change it? It works. So that's the point I want your viewers to understand as we go through these spiritual laws, that it works no matter who you are, what you are, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So the first thing I want to talk about is stewardship.
Okay.
Now, stewardship is about managing someone else's resources and causing that resource to grow. So when you look at the money that we have, the money that is coming into our household, are we managing it well? And so the principle here is that if you are a good steward, if you manage well, more will be given to you. But if you do not manage it well, even that you have will be taken away.
Right.
And so you can find this in this parable that Jesus teaches about the talents. And he gave talents to, the master gave talents to each individual according to their ability. That's a key, according to their ability. So a lot of folks say, well, I can't do anything until I get to this certain position. No, right. Start where you are right now.
Right.
What's in your hand right now?
Right now, yes.
That's where you start.
Okay, and as you're talking, the Lord has given me this image of a garden. So I'm going to intercede and jump in as he downloads this garden analogy to me. But when you talked about stewardship, right then I saw a garden, a beautiful garden. And you said that if you are not a good steward, then it will be taken away. If I never go into my garden and till my garden and be a good steward over the things that are growing in it, it is going to die away. When you prune, right, and you pick weeds and you do the things that you're supposed to do, it grows. Okay, so we got that. You talked about talent,
we got that.
About the garden.
And that garden really kind of goes along with what we're going to talk about with the soils when we start talking about another principle. So we're going to get a little deeper in that. I love that. Love that. Good. So the next one is increase. The law of increase. Okay?
Harvest.
The law of increase. Now, the law of increase is seed time and harvest
time. Yes.
So people say, well, no, I don't have a lot of money. I don't know what to do. Well, follow this principle and it will work for you all the time. Now, with God, when he speaks something, it happens immediately. With us, it comes in a delayed fashion, but it's still happening. So that's the point. So here with seed time and harvest, it's dealing with the seeds and the garden that you're talking about.
Okay.
You can find this story in Mark, the entire chapter of Mark dealing with seed time and harvest. And in there, Jesus says, this is a mystery. So I'm going to let you in on the secret to the mystery. Okay. And he says that. And then he goes on and says that if you don't know the mystery, believe me, and I will share it with you. So that was the key. He said, otherwise, you won't understand what I'm talking about, because he's speaking in a parable. Okay. As he talks about a farmer sowing the seed, and that farmer then in turns scatters the seed, what he said is by the wayside. Well, the wayside soil is an area where it's not intended for growth. It might be the path where the tractor's running, or maybe the side of the road, but they're throwing the seed out, and then they cover it up. And so the Bible says, hey, let's look at this from two different aspects. You got the farmer side and you got the spiritual side. Okay. So on the spiritual side, the sower sows the word of God. We say it works the same way. So if that word is stolen, it says Satan comes immediately to steal that word.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. If a seed is not planted, can it grow?
No.
No, it can't.
No, because we have seeds right now that are still in the bag. We have cucumbers and tomato seeds and cabbage seeds that are just still in the bag. If we don't plant them, nothing is going to happen. Nothing.
Exactly. And so it's man's responsibility to plant it. It's God's responsibility to cause it to grow, and man's responsibility to put his sickle in and take the harvest.
And do the work. Okay, so, here we are. Seeds. And I look at seeds and sowing like this. If we want apples, we plant an apple tree. If we want oranges, we plant an orange tree. We don't plant something and expect something else. And I think that's what we do with our finances.
Yes.
That's what we do with our finances. We're sowing, but we're sowing into these McDonald's, Burger King, Starbucks.
Yes.
People go to Starbucks every single day. That's sowing a seed. Where your seeds are is where that thing will grow. And here's the wonderful thing I love about seeds. This is what I love about seeds, and this is why I am a sower, and God gives seed to the sower. This is what I love about seeds. One seed, there are many trees or many plants or many roots in that seed, in that one seed. So when you plant apple seeds, not just one apple tree comes up, but if one apple tree comes up, on that tree, aren't there many other seeds in each of those apples?
Yes.
I love it. I love sowing.
Yes.
Okay, let's keep talking.
Yes. Yeah. So
Increase.
So right there is the principle. God says that when you plant into good soil, I will give you some 30, some 60, some 100-fold. 100-fold is not 100%, and you just alluded to it. 100% says if I take the seed from one orange and plant it, I'm going to get a tree that got one orange on it. That's 100%.
Right.
But no, he says 100-fold, which is the best possible harvest. So that one tree will provide oranges, hundreds, maybe thousands of oranges per year over its lifetime, which could be 100 years or so.
Wow.
That's the harvest. And every fruit has seed in it. So a lot of people are just casting their seed aside. Every harvest that you get has seed in it. So you got to replant. And then as you get that harvest, you replant again. And before you know it, you have that orchard that you're talking about.
Absolutely. And I don't think we have thought about money as a seed. We say it, especially church folk. We say it, but we don't really believe it. And just like we talked about the principles overall, these principles are going to work if you believe in them or not. Gravity does not stop being gravity because you decide gravity don't work. These principles are going to work if you believe in them or not. So we have some more principles that I want to talk about, but we're going to take a break really quick. We're going to watch this commercial and we'll be right back with Michael Mosby giving us the spiritual laws of finance. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Dr. Mel, talk show host of Bridging. Being a senior is a big deal, even more so during this pandemic. Do you have a senior who is missing out on graduation and prom, and you want to honor them and celebrate them for the good work they've done this year? Well, we do too. Send your senior's picture to bridginggrad@gmail.com and we will do our very best to put their picture and their name on the show. Picture and your senior's name, and we want to congratulate them and honor them with you. Happy graduation, grads 2020. Thank you for coming back to Bridging with Dr. Mel. I am here with Michael Mosby, who is just really enlightening us on the spiritual laws of finances. And there are 9 principles that we're talking about. So far, we've talked about stewardship and increase, and we talked about a lot. So I just wanted to take a quick break, but we're back and we're going to talk about thinking and speaking. Tell me more about that as a spiritual law.
Okay, spiritual law of thinking. As a man thinketh, so is he. So whatever it is that you believe yourself to be, that's what you will become. Now that works because of our minds. We have a conscious and a subconscious mind. And in our conscious mind is where we actually do our thinking, where we do our analysis, we interpreting something. That's where the active thinking is happening. But then you have the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is what I call like a big hard drive.
Okay.
But it's from the subconscious mind is where our behaviors come from. We act from our behaviors. So here's the principle. A man is as he thinks. Now, Jesus says you can renew your mind, which means that you can change your mind.
Okay.
Your conscious mind allow you to accept or reject a thought,
Okay.
but your subconscious mind does not. It
Okay.
accepts everything that comes in it. So if the conscious mind didn't say, hey, I cast this down, it's going in. And it forms what you call a paradigm.
Okay.
And that paradigm starts when we were little kids. What did you hear? If your mom or someone was calling you stupid all the time, and you start believing that because you're hearing it all the time. And so your life now is bound by that. If you start speaking, I just stepped into speaking, but let me go back to the mind just for a little bit.
Okay.
So the only way to change your subconscious mind is two ways. The first way is by shock, and we don't want it that way.
What do you mean by shock? How do I shock my?
Shock. Some event has occurred that causes me to think differently.
Okay. Oh, like this corona thing.
Coronavirus.
This
is a perfect example. I hadn't looked at it that way. You're right. It's one of those shocks. Okay. So if you take a guy who, let's say you learn how to walk. Okay. You don't really walk anymore consciously. Your subconscious already learned how to walk, and so you're automatically doing it. Okay. But if you lost a limb or really got hurt another way, now your conscious mind got to kick in. It's like, how am I going to get from point A to point B? Now you're consciously thinking about it, but now that shock has caused you to now to adapt and move in another direction.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So that's our mind. So, but our behaviors come from within. So you heard it too. I'm thinking and hear people say, think outside the box.
Think outside the box. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's very hard to do, because as soon as you make up your mind, I'm ready to make a difference, I'm ready to change my life, you may come out of the gate strong, but 2 or 3 weeks later, you find yourself going right back.
Right.
That's the paradigm.
Okay.
But there's a way to, the second way of fixing that is to repetition through speaking.
Okay.
Hearing. So that takes us into the speaking aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
As a man speaks, so it is established. Okay. You should have whatsoever you say.
Yes.
Okay. And so if I start saying that I'm prosperous all the time, then I will start believing I'm prosperous, because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So I take the word of God and I'm speaking it over my life repeatedly. And you'll start believing that. If someone's cursing you all the time, they start speaking, you start believing that. So now this curse is now coming. But Mel, I got something I want to share with you.
Okay.
God gave us, my wife and I, a demonstration. He said, I want to prove to you how you can see what's invisible as a result of our speaking. Okay? So we picked some rice. We get jars of rice out of the same pot, and we put on one jar, he said, I love you, you're nice rice, I hope you last a long time. And the second jar we put on there, I hate you, you bad rice, I hope you die. Okay? So I'm going to hold this rice up. I wonder, can you tell a difference? Can you see that?
Yes, one of the rice water is cloudier. It looks a little darker. Is that the one you spoke the negative words to?
This is the one. Was the same, came out the same pot. We put water in it, same faucet, the same kind of jars, the same kind of tape. The only difference is the words that is on it and the words that we spoke over it. So this is tangible evidence, things that we can now see that whatsoever we speak is being established.
Well, the Lord told us that, and it's in the word, speak those things that are not as if they were. So those people who have negative thinking, the way to get rid of that negative thinking is to speak the opposite of that. And it also says that if we decree a thing, it shall be established unto thee. So, right. But here's the thing that I don't believe most people pay attention to. It's how much negative talk they actually have. Because if the word tells us that we can decree a thing and it shall be established unto thee, we're decreeing, I'm tired, I'm sick, I'm broke, I can't pay attention, bad things always happen to me. You have just decreed those things and they have been established unto thee. So you are saying, say the opposite.
Say
Say
the
I
opposite.
am well, I am wealthy. But it feels strange, Dr. Mosby. It feels strange
Yes.
that we would say something that isn't true.
Actually, it is true. It's just that we can't see that true state yet.
You're
It
right.
just hasn't manifested in our lives yet. So whatsoever we speak, it is established. And by doing so, as we start, it sounds like we're lying, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But you're not lying, because God said, call those things that be not
As if they
as
were
though they were.
right.
So you're being obedient to the word.
Okay. So what's the next principle? This is so good.
Well, the next one is prayer.
Prayer.
Prayer. So prayer is communicating with God. Okay. But it's a two-way communication. A lot of times we go in petitioning. Oh Lord, really talking about the problem. Lord, my finances really messed up, da 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 da. When he's saying, I can't help you until you do it my way.
Right.
But then we pray and we get up off our knees and go on. We don't stop and take the time to hear what he's saying. He's always speaking to us. And he speaks to us in various ways. It might be you'd be driving down the street and the answer for you was on the person's license tag in front of you.
Right. Right.
You just never know. But he speaks to us. And so that prayer is communicating with him. So the way that we pray, it says, take his word, find a promise that's dealing with the issue that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pray that promise. But he says, take my word. If it's my will, it's automatically yours. So now you got to do things to get the weeds out, but it's automatically yours.
That's a whole lot to take in right there. That is a whole lot. So that's a whole lot of shift in paradigm and thinking that we have to do to accept what you just said. So say it again so that it can stick, because the repetition, the basis of learning, yes, is repetition. So you said we have to search the word for
search
those.
the word,
Uh-huh.
find a promise that has to deal with the issue that you're facing.
So if I'm sick, I need to find a promise about health.
Yes.
And pray that or say it or speak it, read it over and over and over.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then it's good to personalize it.
Okay.
Okay. For example, you're talking about healing. By his stripes, I am healed.
Okay.
Personalize. By Jesus' stripes, Michael is healed.
Gotcha.
And so where it says thee and thou and things, put your name in there. So all the heavens know you're talking about you and not somebody else.
Right. Wow. Okay, Mr. Mosby, time has just flown by, but I do not want to stop. So I'm just going to tell our viewers that we're going to have a part 2 of this. We've already talked about stewardship, increased thinking, speaking, and now we're on prayer. We are going to have a show number 2 with Michael Mosby, where we talk with real people about real issues and we come up with real solutions.